Got it.
So 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and we're gonna rock and roll. So look at that. Yeah. Right there. Get on it now. Okay. Yes, they do. Yes. Okay. Enough. Without further ado, Martin, I'm goofy like that, y'all. Martin, again, I appreciate you, man, pouring into us this morning and honoring me with your presence. For you guys that don't know, I think, Martin, your title is extensive, and I'd say your accomplishments are even more so. So you're the director of coaching and business development. Is there something else that I've missed for Bo and Kimber's team?
So I am the that is the official title that goes outward to the public and consumers, because it's a catch-all,
Okay.
and where I can be inserted as a surrogate and be utilized across all of our 14 plus business entities. So I'm integral across all of the Minkiti Group business units. I've been with Bo and Kimber since Bo started the Minkiti Group in 2004, and I joined the very first market center when it launched in 2006. And then Kimber and I came on and partnered to really take over the transition of the sales team arm of the business, so Bo Minkiti can focus on building our real estate, Keller Williams Capital Property market centers, and do what his passion was for why he got into real estate 2 years prior, back in 2004, which is development. So to say all that, back in the day, when you're a small company, everyone wears multiple hats. Now it's a matter of where folks fit in and specialize in their areas. And my main area is right now where I'm the coach and mentor for a lot of our executives across our different business units, and mentors to help develop the young talent. That's my goal and purpose right now. And that's going to be my legacy in the organization, which is how do we help transfer the knowledge to the next generation, because that's what's going to drive our businesses and go further than where we are currently today. So hopefully that kind of answers that question there. But I've held many hats along the way, and I'm pretty sure I'll hold many more hats that are forward facing in the near future.
I agree. Well, and I'd love for you to specifically talk on one, I think the growth and planning and goals, and how important that is for your organization. And I think everyone who's also on the call.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And thank you for asking, because it is something, actually, without really understanding it was a growth plan before I actually got the official title. Keep in mind, I'm a couple years older than Bo and Kimber, and I joined them when I was 38, and I had never written really a growth plan until that point in life. And I have held positions in corporate and also as a restaurateur for about a full decade, running, being a managing partner of a restaurant here in the district. But yet I never created a growth plan. I've always done business plans. And so from the very start, it was always about, where do you wish to be in the future, even back then in 2007, and how can we best match and align where you wish to be along with where the company's going. So I'll start there. And so with that, for years, I would actually write out where I would see myself 2, 3, and 4, 5 years down the line. Now, keep in mind, those early iterations aren't where they are now, because it's something, time on task over time, you actually really buy into it. Back then, I just wrote a couple lines and say I would do this and I would be here by this. And then next thing you know, it's actually happening. And then so you add more onto it, and you look up, it may not hit that exact year, but yet you're on the trajectory to do that. And then I would say maybe year 5, 6 of doing it year after year, it really then clicked in. And then when I really started to follow my passion, because that was something I actually was denying myself, they kept saying, where do you want to go? I kept saying, no, where do we need help in our organization? And I'm a little older, so and that's what I'm going to touch on. Really, is like you like to talk about the meat, is really what's that story and the narratives we grow up with. Well, my narrative, because of my age, is those who do, and those who don't teach. So I'll say that again: those who do, and those who don't teach. While again, I'm a couple years older than them, and they were in their late 20s, early 30s going. And I'm like, I'm ready to slow down. And I've actually done some of where we're going, yet I'm still going. So I was denying myself and saying, I'm going to keep going. And then when I retire, I'll go back to teach. Yet it wasn't until 13 when I discovered, okay, what does it take to be a coach? Because I'm in the Keller Williams Realty a brokerage component. And I went to one of those sessions at a conference they had, and that changed my life. And then from there, when you say what you want to do, God puts people in your world to make those things happen. And both Bo and Kimber, along with many others, got behind it. And I became a MAPS coach, and I would coach with them for several years. And I had a coach for years prior, so I always knew what it was like. And really, I wanted to say, follow what your real passion is. And I want to kind of get to about growth planning. While you can have a plan, yet what are the narratives or the stories that you were told in your life, sometimes overtly by either our parents, people of influence, or inadvertently through commercials, mentors, things we've read, that have an impact that may be holding you back from your true potential. And so really, I've turned some of that into actually creating a small little workshop called growth planning, because every year we talk about business planning, and yet they may mention you need to have a growth plan to help bridge the gap of where you are to where you wish to go and put in for your points of self-development. Yet I realize I'm going to all these trainings and no one talks about that, how to actually create a growth plan except for 4 or 5 minutes. So I really began to study that and then curate content to really create workshops. And by doing it over the years, I see it's something that's really needed, because people are really challenged by going out, not just at the end of this year, but really going out 4 to 5 years. And so I believe it was Bill Gates who is the quote that a lot of people quote: many people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 5.
Amen.
And I will say, looking back on a lot of my growth plans now, more and more, I do it as a coach and really focus in that and start that as part of my consultations before going into their plan. I recognize, one, individuals know what they want to do, yet they have either not been acknowledged outwardly through the public that what they're doing is actually correct, or it has some substance or bearing, so they conform themselves to other things that actually have a space where they can get acceptance, if that makes any sense. So really, I'd kick off, and I want to just pose 2 questions to this group, which is, there's power in stories. So how will we tell our story? So the first question I ask you, and that's probably the first, how will we tell our story? But really, you got to answer these first 2, which is, what is the story we're telling others? And then what is the story that others perceive of us? And if we don't know those, yes, we can still have success. Yet, are we truly reaching the success that we truly desire? And I paraphrased it wrong, so let me just go back. I realized it after I said it. I was like, I think I said it out of line, because they're very similar. The first question is, what story are you telling yourself? So let's take this year. What story are you telling yourself today, June 14, 2022?
You know, the market is tough. It's tough to get listings. It's hard to get buyers under contract. I've got all this family drama. There's so many different things that can come at us, right?
Yeah. And then that second question is, what story are you telling others for 2022? So those were the first time I said it incorrectly. So I'll say it again. What story are you telling yourself this year? And what story are you telling others this year? And they're two distinct questions.
Absolutely.
And you would think while they may seem simple, these are questions that are really hard for people to answer individually and in groups. And that's baffled me. So things like that intrigue me. So I go deeper, and I've gone and studied different things and read different books on, and a lot of us know all the books, Simon Sinek, Gary V, different books, but through research through the Pacific Institute, things like that. And it really comes down to really coming and removing those mental blocks or narratives that we were shaped with. And that's where it's like I said, those who do and those who don't teach. So what does that put in the mind of someone who wants to highly perform? I shouldn't stop what I'm doing and pursue my true passion because I need to do, because I'm still of age to do.
Would you, Martin, would you agree that one of the bold laws is was our what is it, Steve? Our sales eavesdrop on our thoughts, something like that. And that's what that reminds me of, because I think we need to be careful of what we're telling ourselves, because again, our words have power, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. It goes, and it's interesting. It goes into our subconscious, and that is really the space that if you want to see real change, and it's interesting, and this is where I may not be too PC, but I like to keep it kitchen counter table. And you said bring the meat. Even in our roles as coaches and mentors and folks who have attained some success, when people ask us questions about how we got there, we usually give them a surface level answer. And we have to keep in mind too, they're going to trust that answer and then go to try to replicate based off of something that we vaguely said, or what we said to make ourselves look good, just because we're confirming maybe a result or a reason why they came to us. I want to speak generally there because I don't want to go into like minute things people can then stick there, but just think about when people come to us based off of wanting to ask us how we did or accomplish certain things. We usually give them a surface level answer, or say, wow, I quickly wanted to remove myself from that because I didn't like that, but this is where I am. But think about that they didn't like themselves or didn't care for is the reason why they are where they are today. It has bearing there. Yet as a person of influence or as leaders, if we're not sharing that to the next generation, they're only going on the surface. And that's why we have a lot of people, in my opinion, who get frustrated, or they give up, or they go switch, because it's just the chunking down when we actually are in front of folks and help them understand that where their success is within them. Yet we have to help pull it out of them, because we got to agree, and it's hard for me. I can pump up anybody and see certain things, and I do great introductions, but it's hard for me to speak about myself. And 90% of the world is the same way. So it's like it has to, I would say we need to allow our time when we're speaking with young professionals that opportunity to see some vulnerability. But yet, I want to just quote Viktor Frankl, because this lies in what we're talking about, the stories. Between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And our response lies our growth and our freedom. And I'll state it again. Between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. That's what people call white space, but most people don't look up the word white space, but they just go off of catchwords. But that's where I like to chunk down. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. And it goes back to where you even stated, like, speaking of real estate terms, because that's the profession we're in, and that's probably our majority of the audience that's viewing this. It's about what the market's doing, all of these issues. We cause our own issues, just so we're clear. Because if on the top of the shift book at the very top, but most people miss it, because I always ask the question when they get the shift book if they have it, when they state certain things, which you just mentioned, Ben, and I'll ask them to read what's the byline at the top right corner. And it states, it's not about the market, it's about what you do. Yet, as again, back to stories, and what are the stories we're telling others? If we're telling others that the market is hot, oh, the market's crazy, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, then we wonder why people turn around that we don't know and come back and challenge us with all the same things that we may say at a cookout this past weekend, when we were talking to our friends. And then those friends go back to work. And oh yeah, I was with my buddy, he's a realtor. He said, buyers are liars and they don't really know what they want. They're most confused ever. And he can't wait to start working with sellers. But guess what? That same person who claimed buyers were liars at a cookout in a casual setting now may have someone 2 weeks later who either heard it from his friend or heard it from someone else, because we all say it. And then he's upset. And now that statement creates his reality in his mind. So it's perpetuated in his mind. But we reinforce it ourselves as realtors. We're guilty of it.
Absolutely. That's powerful.
So I don't know if this may get cut out or not. I'm not sure.
I don't edit anything. It's all there.
But no, this is how I speak to folks one-on-one. That's why I don't, a lot of people wonder who I am, but that's why I don't do a lot of these things.
No,
I'd rather,
I can tell you this,
I'm speaking.
See, I appreciate you keeping it 100, right? We'd say in the community, you mentioned kitchen, right? We're keeping it 100. Because I tell people, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear, right? So no, I appreciate it, man. Rob, bring it to us straight, no chaser, right? So
and Ben, I would say, I think for those of us in our position, and when I say position or station in life, doesn't mean that we've done so much, but where we are in our life, no matter what profession we're in, it is our responsibility to be that way with the next generation. Because who's influencing them? If we're not, where are they getting it from? Then we can't get upset when they may say certain things that we don't agree with, if we don't at least address it or nip it in the bud. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I know that that next generation is a key component to you guys in your business, that transfer of knowledge, working with well over 1,000 first-time home buyers. Those are metrics that you guys track, because I know it's important to your organization. So touch on that for a minute before we leave.
Sure. I mean, it goes back to actually, which is where we're in the process of transitioning to in the next 5 to 10 years. And that's what I've begun to venture on back in 19, which is our Empower Neighborhoods, which is the creation of a high level real estate entrepreneurial intelligence platform, where it's the exchange of knowledge, mentorship, not just for real estate sales, but for all things real estate. So that could be for real estate academia, development, asset managers, portfolio holders, full developers, small and large. What our goal is to not only archive our knowledge and experience for the last 18 years, but also through the ecosystem of those who are part of the Empower Neighborhood. So it's to transfer knowledge this way, not just top down. And it is really important because, like you said, the two pillars are wealth building and neighborhood investment model. So back to the 1,000 first-time home buyers that we actually track, we note that as a form of impact, because under our wealth building model, while people can say, you got to go buy this investment property, you got to go create this RIT or do some form of syndication because those things sound catchy and cool to say, Your real wealth starts where? Your primary domicile. And if you don't believe me, the Joint Center for Harvard, the Joint Center for Housing Studies at Harvard University came out in 2021, and we've all seen these infographics, but it actually is increased now. It states that the net worth of a homeowner versus a renter, the average net worth of a renter is $6,710. $6,710 is the average net worth currently today in the United States of a renter, where the average net worth of a homeowner is $319,200. That's actually increased because these studies come about every 3 years. And I remember the last time it was 225. So from 225 to 319, that's a huge delta, 100 and change. So back to why we track our first-time home buyers. For one, that was our foundation of when we started, and we still continue on that. But those first 1,000 first-time home buyers plus now have gone on to buy multiple properties. Some have become investors. Some actually have rental portfolios. Some have become short-term investors, i.e. flippers. So if we talk about wealth, and that's actually intergenerational wealth is a buzzword right now, a catchword by a lot of people, and they're talking about how to go create these different things. But if you don't have the primary domicile first as ownership, are you really genuine? Because over time, you know, the equity in your home can allow you the freedom and opportunities to do many different things. And it's important to note, because think back, and I know we're kind of close on time, but think back, I want to say it was at one point they were stating millennials shouldn't buy. They have a lot of disposable income they can invest at other places. Yet the Brookings Institute, we're now 4 or 5 years, I lose track because of COVID, but we're 4 or 5 years into a study that the Brookings Institute did, where they stated that millennials will purchase, but later in life, they're early 30 millennials. And they said for the next 7 years, and I believe we're either 4 or 5 years into that 7-year track, where 12 million millennials will be purchasing for the next 7 years, 12 million a year. That's a lot of individuals. I was actually a part of the district government's chief financial officer study where we reviewed that. I represented residential realtors in the district, I want to say back in 2018. And we all sat around and we were breaking down that report by the Brookings Institute. And it's important. I know myself, if you think about if real estate's local, also real estate's social demographic. While I have the knowledge, guess what? I see a young man in the viewfinder here. He probably can relate more to those younger millennials than I can. So again, it's our responsibility to be able to transfer the knowledge that we have and not be, for lack of a better word, be afraid of the younger millennials because they're on Instagram and they've got so many posts that they seem like they have it going on and we can't sit there and talk to them. Yeah, we may have to say it 4 or 5 times. But if you believe there's talent in those individuals, it's worth the 4 or 5 times, because what is leadership? People will come around when they come around. So I don't have anything else to say. I mean, I can talk.
Yeah, plenty.
Days.
Come on now.
We're on a timeline, and I want to respect that. Hopefully, I've kept it within bounds.
No, you were wonderful, Martin. I appreciate you honoring me and the audience with your words, because there's always a nugget, and so I'm sure. Again, what do I say, Stevie? Every week. I mean, I bring the meat, right? I bring the meat every week, and professionals that are doing the damn thing. Mo Anderson wouldn't like that, but I think damn is okay. So I appreciate you bringing that. And guys, if there is anything I can do to help, Martin has been so gracious, and I'm definitely going to be joining in to their Empower, meeting. I'm always here. So don't hesitate to reach out, and also join in next week, because we've got another amazing speaker, presenter who's gonna bring it.
Yeah,
And
definitely I will. And I just want to say, if I could, thank you for those who took time out of their day to be here. I want to acknowledge a few folks. I see a few who are actually a part of the Empowered Network. Jonna Hayes is one, and a few others on here. So I really do appreciate them and those who are here to kind of just really hear what I have to say. And if there's something that you like or relate to, I'm just a phone call or text away. And many people who know me know I take time out of my day to really be and care about what people are doing and where they're going.
Again, I think that's what makes you the leader that you are. And just keep doing what you're doing, because I tell folks, man, we never know who's watching us. So just continue to lead, inspire, and do great things, man. So I'm anxious to meet you in person if we haven't already. And I've met so many people. I don't think we have, but
I don't believe so either.
Yeah, it's on the calendar. So if it's not at Mega Camp, like I told you yesterday, I'm probably going to come up to the district so I can spend some time with you guys. So again, I appreciate you guys. We will see you next week. Let's go serve another family's needs and take a listing.
Could I say one last thing? Because you
Chime in. Yep.
I just want to leave everyone with this, because you said you never know who's looking. My mentor, who's my business mentor outside of real estate, his name is Paul J. Cohn. He was a restaurateur here in the district. And he created Capital Restaurant Concepts, many concepts, high profile restaurants in the city in the 80s and 90s. He told me very early, while I was still a server, he stated, Martin, restaurant is theater, because he came out of the entertainment business. He said, restaurant is theater. No matter where you are in the restaurant, you're on stage. No matter where you are, someone is watching you. And I've taken that to heart. And that's so true in real estate. So liking what I said when I make that statement, restaurant is theater, you're always on stage. When we're at social events and engagements, and we're speaking about our business very casually, you never know who's hearing or watching or listening. And again, like I said, we perpetuate our own objections most of the times that we get. And this is the reason why. But if we think about who we are and where we are, and that we're always on stage, we should just have a greater awareness of what we're saying. Like I stand behind anything I say. That's why I said sometimes certain things may get filtered out, but I will stand by what I say. All right. That's what I wanted to leave everyone with. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
That's great. I'm glad we left on that note. So yeah, look, smile. You're right, Christina, because you know what? We're on stage. So
there you go. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
y'all have a good one.